Good evening, everyone. This is Hooves of Doom speaking. And, I have kind of an issue, and I'm wondering what the community thinks. And that is, should I change the bases on my Age of Sigmar models or Warhammer models? So it's really, to base or not to base is the question. And, I've seen a lot of beautiful armies rebased, and I think they look fantastic on rounds. As a skirmish game, round bases do look very, very nice. And I've seen some, beautiful Warhammer armies for Age of Sigmar that are on round bases. And I'm just not really sure how to really combat it for my own, personal collection. And several weeks ago, I was humming and hawing about this, and I kind of came up to a decision. And that was because, I'm fairly much more of a collector in many ways than like an active gamer. I do play, but I love to just accumulate models and I love my long-term aspirations of owning multiple armies all on display is kind of one of the things that I really like, and it's something that I always work towards. And so, my initial consensus was going forward with the new models Age of Sigmar, which are on rounds, have that as a distinctly different collection, right? So keep the models from traditional Warhammer 8th and such as they are on squares. Eventually, years down the road, have those on display, on their movement bases, in cabinets, good to go. They look beautiful as ranked up, but have a distinctly different collection for Age of Sigmar that are all on round bases. And I'm just not really sure, though. I mean, there's a few things that have popped up in recent weeks that make me kind of, I don't know if that's a great solution. Number one, I started doing some battle reports, and I want to kind of have them fairly modernized. And I'd have to do some painting on Stormcast Eternals and things like that soon, which I might do. I might do that in December or something. Let's paint those up. But I'm just not really sure. So I bought like an army of demons, and I've been painting those up, and that's almost finished. And, of course, with demons, you have a choice between square and rounds because they could be used in both game systems. And I went with the round bases at the time, and that was always my intention. This is, I put these models together back in like January or something, January, February. So long before Age of Sigmar came out, and of course now it just works out better. But because I was thinking, actually initially I had them on squares and I switched them. Because I was thinking round bases have more utility in 40K, and you can put the round bases on movement trays. Now, for me it was like kind of a one-off thing. Like I don't want my entire collection on display on movement bases with round movement trays with round bases, because I don't think it looks particularly great. I was kind of willing to work with it with like the one army of demons, but I'm not really sure if I want like all of my models like that if I have them on display in the future. It's really not that big of a deal. I'm kind of making a mountain out of a molehill. But I also bought the Tree Lord, and I painted the Tree Lord up this week, or one of the variants of the Tree Lord for the old Wood Elves. And so, when he gets to what's messy to me, like I can totally get Stormcast Eternals and the new models for Khorne, anything that's like a distinctly new sculpt for Age of Sigmar. Obviously they're not completely different from the way that models used to look, but they are distinctly an Age of Sigmar model, and they were produced during the Age of Sigmar. That's fine. I can kind of have those in different categories in my collection. But when they start doing repackages, I don't know where to go. So, with the Lizardmen probably coming out, and they've already done some Skaven and some Nurgle, um, and the Wood Elf, in terms of the Tree Lord and Dryads, have all been repackaged. And so I bought a Tree Lord as part of the army we're building with the PMP and the budget of Sigmar. And it just so happened, I was looking at some of the old Tree Lord sculpts, which I'd like to eventually own as someone that just likes to have a variety of old and new models as part of a collection. But I ended up buying the model, like the newer version, like that was repackaged, and so it came with a round base. And I didn't have a square base on hand, so I decided to put him on the round base, and he looks nice. But it just makes me kind of wonder, like, well, what do I do now? Because he looks great in Age of Sigmar, and he works in Age of Sigmar. But for me, it was as someone that focuses on building models and trying to maintain a broad model base of different games. The Tree Men was initially designed for Warhammer 8th, and so it's like a bridge in the collection that I don't know. I have a hard time kind of understanding where to really go with it. So one of my ideas, so next month I'll be working on Beastmen, I think, and I have like a half-painted Beastmen army, and so I was thinking, well, that'd be a good time to maybe, and they have really, really bad bases on them. So that'd be an awesome time to rebase that whole army if I wanted to. And I have a huge Vampire Counts army. It's all painted. It's one of my only fully painted armies. And it's all in squares. And so it's like, I don't want to have to redo that. I'm not really concerned about time and money. It's more trying to get things done. I want to move forward, and going back and rebasing, the only one of the few armies I have that's fully painted, just seems like I'm not making a whole lot of momentum. The Beastmen I could justify because, there's some painting work to be done on them. But I'm not really sure if I should split my collection on some level between the older and the newer models. So, for example, when we're dealing with the Beastmen, I have an older Beastmen model here, and the newer version of the same model. And I don't know if I should keep these guys on display on the squares and switch these guys to the rounds. And that way it would kind of work, even though they were both designed for traditional Warhammer and rank and file. Yeah, so I don't really know what to do. I'm kind of on a in between issues in some sense, and I'm just kind of curious what people think. If there's, it's probably like an absolutely non-issue whatsoever, but I'm probably the only one that's really worried about this type of stuff. But if you are someone that thinks it's not worth the time or something to rebase, or for whatever reason you're not going to rebase, or you absolutely did rebase, I'd love to hear the comments and see what people are thinking on the issue. I know it's probably one of the most contentious things when Age of Sigmar came out, that they switched the bases. But we'll see what I'm going to do with Beastmen. Maybe some of the comments will move me one way or the other. And thanks for watching. Have a good one.